I don't know.
Kim normally reads the rules,
Yeah,
and if you can found in this packet.
perfect. Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so I'm just gonna breeze through some of the rules that we have this evening for this portion. Communication and comments from the public members of the public agenda requires anyone wishing to speak to the board must be present and register on the sign-up form. That obviously doesn't pertain to this part. A 3-minute time limit will be enforced. Again, not so much now. Public comment is only accepted during this agenda item.
Chris, I think that applies to our board meeting, actual meeting.
Yeah, are there rules that I have to
I
read
think
for
we
this?
can just open it up.
Okay. All right, I'm obviously a little green, so we'll just open this up to comments from the public, and anyone that wants to speak, please come up to the podium and state your name and share any thoughts you might have.
Pardon me, Darcy Sosnick, and coming up to speak to policy 335. I know it is passed, and I know you guys are working on procedure, and it made it out of committee to come here to be voted on tonight. However, I feel like there's still tweaking that could be done or should be done. I remember Ms. Schubert saying that if it wasn't working in like practical matters once it was being implemented, that it may be able to go back to the drawing board for some revisions. So I've read through the policy several times. My issue is that you guys are having things taken down. I was with a bunch of students the other day when I was volunteering, and so many of them, I think every single one of them out of a group of 17 kids had something negative to say about pictures that were taken down in their Spanish room, because the pictures were of the teacher's travels to Spain, but they didn't relate to curriculum. Many things that are being taken down that are like maybe inspirational because they don't relate to curriculum, teachers are taking them down because they're afraid of leaving things up, because you guys haven't given specific examples of what is and is not allowed. And you're letting the board have discretion and administration as well, but you're leaving it up to interpretation. And instead of being very specific, the teachers don't know what they can do. They think that, okay, well, this movie poster, we use a clip from this movie to talk about this part of a book because it's been made into a movie. Does it have to be taken down all year? Does it have to be taken down for a week? Like, when does it have to be taken down? The kids have just been really, really upset about it. And so, like I said, it's only 17 kids that I was speaking to, but it seems like it's a big deal. They feel like their classrooms are not conducive to learning, and I know that's what you guys want. So, so that concerns me. Secondly, I know that you said that there's a way to celebrate accomplishments in an appropriate way for school activities. So I saw there was some sort of a parade or something. Yeah, what do you guys call that?
Hawk walk.
Hawk walk. Okay. So clearly somebody's getting acclaimed for something that they've done, or maybe they're about to go off and compete at a tournament or something. I don't know. But the pep rally, my kids were taken out of class for an hour and a half, I want to say. But though that was not at all related to curriculum, it was about a football game that was to happen. There was no like, we won state championship or anything like that. So I think that you guys are making decisions, but you're not making it across the board. It's unfortunate that like my children who don't really care about sports, they have their own interests. They like theater, they like art, they like music, but there isn't a whole afternoon dedicated to Broadway company to get out of class for an hour and a half, is there? Like, I just think that you guys are taking it to an extreme. What? You're like smiling, I don't know.
I'm just listening.
Okay. But I just think that it's an extreme where if you're going to do it to one thing, then you need to do it to all things. Like, we still can't have one group of people celebrate it over another, right? So take down everything that has to do with boys and girls soccer or volleyball or football. It seems silly to me that you guys are trying to dictate lots of things that make all of our students feel like they belong here. But certain things are okay and certain things are not, and you're still not making it easy for the teachers and the students to feel like they know what that is. And I know you guys have kept pushing back to administration. Well, it's in the policy, it's in the procedure side, it's in the procedure side, but the staff is in such a difficult position trying to make these decisions when it's your policy. You should be giving the admin more to go off of, in my opinion. So, thanks.
Thanks, Darcy. Any thoughts or comments?
Hopefully the procedure that we talk about tonight will help clarify some of the,
I can't hear you.
I said, hopefully the procedure that we talk about tonight will help clarify some of your concerns. And what I heard tonight, I don't think would be a violation of the policy that we implemented. So the three things that you mentioned, all tie to curriculum in my opinion. And I would assume, I was looking at the staff while you were talking about it and they're shaking their heads as well. Yeah, it could be, a matter of teachers perhaps, doing something to create excitement maybe in taking down those items, or overreacting perhaps to a procedure that isn't yet finalized. So I guess my opinion is the three things that you mentioned probably should have stayed up, and we can probably work with administration to clarify to make sure that those types of things do stay up. But I agree with you, those are all tied to curriculum and part of our procedure that we'll talk about tonight.
I guess that's really what is really hard. I don't know if teachers realize that they're allowed to keep up stuff like that then. So if they have given things down. And students are not happy about it.
I think some of that on your point one, so I was trying to follow and try to make a response based off of the points you were trying to make in the order that you made them. But back to point one, I think it also depends on how you frame the question to the group of 17 students that you polled. I did some polling of my own.
Sorry, I didn't poll them, they just offered it. I didn't.
Fair, or if how you engaged or asked them to offer the opinion. So I did some of that of my own. Friends of my sons were talking through this without getting into the topic that I was trying to discover. So I just asked, what does it feel like in the school? So he's new here. He's now a freshman. What is it like? You see things hung on the wall. You see things that promote unity and spirit. I just asked some of those related probing questions to see what is there. And it's hard to pull information out of a freshman, obviously. But a lot of times his answer was, well, it's a school. There's things related to school there. But not asked in a frame of mind that was something taken away, because then you can draw to a conclusion if something was taken away. But to ask, is it still an inviting school-like environment? And the answer was simply yes. It's a school. It looks like a school. There's things in there related to Arrowhead. There's things in there related to other things within the curriculum, depending on what classroom it goes to. So I think as we get into this, whether it's going to be a debate or not for a foreseeable future, I think we also have to ask ourselves to make sure that we're not asking the question in a probing negative way. Let's just get to the meat of it. Is the classrooms appropriate for learning? On point two, you lost me a bit. I'm not really sure where you're going, but if we're talking about homecoming and the activities around homecoming, that is not specific to a football game. Football game takes place during homecoming, but the homecoming is a celebration of the school mainly focused on alumni and bringing alumni back to celebrate their successes, whether it's their graduating year, they've been out 5 years, 10 years, 15, whatever. And the football game sure brings those alumni back, but it is not a singular item specific related to a football game. It should be a celebration across all activities that bring people home, that unite Arrowhead as one school, one body. So I lost some of your points on your point two, so I apologize for not being able to answer all of those, but I don't think a correlation should be drawn that it is only a singular event for a football game. just my opinion, back to yours.
But how is that related to curriculum then? Bringing back alumni?
So just so, there might be a little bit of confusion, I'll reiterate what this policy is. The policy is displays and postings in student environments. It doesn't have to do with activities in students' environments. It doesn't have to do with, anything to do with anything besides the postings and displays. So that's what the policy 335 develops. Any other thoughts?
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Imes. My daughter is a freshman here at Arrowhead. I'm here to talk about a little bit of the same thing that you just talked about, but I wanted to let you know this is not something I asked. This is volunteered to me from my child, who is just very disappointed to see things removed from the walls. And she's saying she's in rooms that had colorful things and felt like a welcoming environment. They feel very boring and stale to her now. Tessa is a bright person and loves school. And she said she feels like the school is just say a blank space, that it could be anywhere. It's not necessarily a school, it's just another box. And that's not what I want for my kids' environment. So she also perceives that teachers feel they must do this or they will be in trouble. So any clarification that you can offer for what teachers need to be doing, I think would really help them, because my freshman is perceiving stress in her teachers, and she's been here a month. She should be the one who's stressed, not perceiving that from her teachers. She would like to see a welcoming environment, and she wants to feel like her teachers feel confident as professionals that they can do their jobs. Thank you.
Curious if admin has any.
So we had a staff meeting a week ago or so now, and just kind of touched on it because we knew 335 procedures were coming tonight. We shared some of the basics, not tied to content, curriculum, those kind of things. We did give a few examples. Packet flags need to come down, posters not associated with content, curriculum, those sort of things. Understandably, our staff was upset because they believe they've created a welcoming environment, a fun, a way to relate to students. We did share, you can keep personal items on your desk, those sort of things, which we had talked about throughout the policy meeting, and anything that was tied to content and curriculum, and that's about it. We touched on some of the basics and said that we'll have further discussion once 335 is official.
Any questions to report it?
Yeah, and we offered once it's approved by the board, we'll come room to room, we'll have the conversations. We're starting a list of things that are kind of those gray areas where there's probably language on both sides of permissible and not permissible. So there's a lot of questions a lot of our staff have taken down a significant amount in their classrooms just to be on the safe side. They would rather just not go through the challenge of trying to see if it is or isn't. So they've cleared things off, whether they believe it is or is not, just so that they can get back to their job kind of thing.
Adam, can you give some examples of common things that the staff has taken down from their offices, or the ones that that stand out more? That
the biggest ones are a lot of had their things that they're proud of for athletics or the arts or activities that they've been a part of, those sort of things that would recognize one group over the other. The Packer flag, I mean, almost every classroom in our building had a Packer flag. We did share that they can keep college as long as it's tied directly to a post-secondary opportunity for our students. So those in some classes have remained, and others have been taken down because I think they just wanted to clear out any confusion. We talked about, a lot of our staff have movie posters just because it's of their interest and they're able to talk about it with students, those sort of things that have come down. I'm trying to think of any. We haven't gone room to room specifically yet to have those conversations. We have a list of teachers who have requested that, but we're waiting for tonight to make things formal.
A chance that a lot of items were taken down to make a point.
There's always that chance, right? That's human nature. I don't know if to be honest, I think it was less to make a point than it was to just to be done so they can get back to teaching. I think a lot of our staff didn't want to fight a fight right now.
Hi, Dan Benishek. I'm Mr. Rebecca Imes. My daughter's a freshman. Rebecca didn't actually use the words that Tessa used. She said that one of the classes she was in, it was like she was learning in a prison cell. And that actually struck me quite a bit in terms of the education and the opportunity that Arrowhead provides. And we were so excited for her to come to Arrowhead because it's such a great school. So I'm not going to talk about that or the safe spaces, which broke her heart. What I want to talk about is professionally as an operations person, I like to have the mantra that if to resolve something, you've made it more complicated, that you failed. So reading through this policy, it was a 3-page policy on what to put on walls and what they can, or more specifically, what they can't do. So what I would ask is if you're thinking about the teachers and the great teachers that you want to come to Arrowhead and to teach here and be a part of our organization and help our children learn and grow, that when you hand them the list of things, this is everything you can't do. And I view this as kind of a slippery slope of this is the first policy. It's 3 pages long, tells somebody exactly what they can't do in a classroom. As we continue to create more and more policies that continue to ratchet down on freedom of expression, the ability to create a learning environment and a positive learning environment, maybe not just about math, but about learning in general or Spanish or something else, it's going to be really, really hard for us to bring in really, really great teachers for the pay that we offer and tell them all the things that they can't do. It's not a good look. And so as we're coming up with new policies and new procedures and everything else, I just want us to think about what it looks like to these future educators and who we want to bring in. And I ask that you just keep that in mind when we're thinking about, you know, whatever comes next. Thanks.
Yeah, valid point, but going back to the classroom that she referenced, did she happen to say specifically what class, what room? I'd love to go take a look at it.
No, she did not.
Well, you know, it sounds to me like there's been a slight overreaction on the teacher's part. We haven't even passed procedure yet and everything came off the wall. So hopefully stuff that came off that probably shouldn't have come off goes back up. And, you know, I understand that, you know, why a lot of stuff may have come down because we haven't yet finalized a procedure yet. And at the end of the day, it just feels like an overreaction at this point.
Well, if you're talking about your job and you're talking about employment of I could be disciplined or fired because I'm doing something, I know I would overreact as well and say, okay, I'm going to take everything down because I don't want my job and my livelihood and my family's livelihood to be threatened by something that comes down like this.
And I'm not saying it was the wrong move for them to make necessarily. I'm just saying there probably was a little bit of that going.
I can see that. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Pete Jacobson. Thank you, school board and teachers, for allowing me to come here tonight. I did see on the agenda today, we were talking about Warhawk manufacturing. I just really wanted to express how much that has affected our family positively. And I just wanted to read a couple of stories about that. I have 4 sons. 3 of them have graduated. They've gone all the way through Arrowhead. 2 of them were heavily involved in Warhawk manufacturing. And for them, that was kind of a life changer for them. Some of the things I asked them tonight before I came over here to talk about this was, what do you remember from Warhawk manufacturing? And they said one of the scholarships. For them, that was a great opportunity to contribute, for college, or to get some spending money, both at MSOE, where they graduated to, and then WCTC. So that was an excellent opportunity. So a couple other things they said was being able to collaborate, opportunity to work with local businesses, and where they had even gotten some internships later on because of their experience with Warhawk manufacturing. And take it beyond the school, beyond the Arrowhead, when they got to college, they were able to talk with some of their other fellow students, and they joined like the robotics club, or they joined the engineering club. They had a lot more experience from Arrowhead than any of their other students. So it's been a really excellent opportunity for my kids. And so I just want to pass that on, that Warhawk manufacturing has been a fantastic classes.
Thank you for sharing. If you wouldn't mind, did they stick with manufacturing?
Yeah.
The ones that graduated?
Yes, well, one is that the MSOE student is at, MSOE is a mechanical engineer, working towards that in his second year. And my other son just graduated, but he's at WCTC. And then he's also working part-time at D&H in Economwalk. So he's got a good blend of real life experience and an internship which he wouldn't have gotten without some of that. So he's getting the connections that he got through Warhawk.
Yeah, for sure. I know I participated in one of the events put on, not by Warhawk Manufacturing, but by teacher's name now.
Anthony Christian.
Thank you. But participated there, and I got the chance to talk with and interview a lot of the kids working through there. Daryl, you were there as well. But many of them also participate in Warhawk Manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
And what those kids leave Arrowhead with, to your point, are much more advanced than most of the college interns that I hire to do an internship. At this point, I would rather take a kid out of Warhawk Manufacturing and give them a internship during a summer, and we'd be better off. So you're spot on. What those and the teachers that help those kids do is amazing.
Yeah, so if there's more opportunities to bring in other businesses, collaborate with them, that would be fantastic also. And what else? That's about the same thing for robotics, but yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? A little quick anecdote about the training that our kids get at the school. One of my daughters is at St. Norbert's and has already in the first 2 weeks moved up a couple of levels in her Spanish class just because she knew so much that it was way beyond where the class was because of her. She was in, I think, advanced or whatever the highest Spanish was her last year here. So it's, this is a great school with great teachers. So it's exciting to hear those stories. Thanks for sharing. Any other thoughts? Okay, we have a few minutes. Just wait for 7 o'clock to roll around if somebody feels like they want to come up to the podium.
First thing on my report.
Because, well, and what's crazy is that they're not always home. Actually, but when they go down, they're like, let's see past them. And so, well, like, so it's like, schools which go, and I feel like it's awesome. Every weekend. We're always, I can see with the and the procedure is done. Oh, with right. So this, I wonder if maybe
Yeah, and he goes.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes. Excited.
they were really good.